Mayday and the beginning of the tradition of the Mayday Wreath from ancient spring festivals. The slain god Evanthis, a surname of the ancient Greek god of the pantheon of gods Dionysius, who sprouted from his shed blood, according to the legend, the vineyard was revived in the flowering gardens of Greece. The event of May Day in recent years was the resurrection of Myopoulos. A teenager imitated the late Dionysius in the woods. Girls adorned him with flowers and sang to him the Komos, the lament and the torment, until he was resurrected, quote unquote, and with him all nature. About the wreath. The May Day wreath is almost the only custom that still connects us to the traditional May Day. It's a celebration of spring and nature with ancient roots, which in events in earlier times took place. Nowadays, May Day, with collecting flowers for a May Day wreath to put on your door as a wreath, as we do for Christmas, for example, or even on your head. Or they have in various areas in countries today of Europe, they have the maypole, and they dance around the maypole, and strengthens man's relationship with nature, from which most of us have moved away since we live in cities. According to the director of the Folklore Center for the Academy of Athens, Ekaterina Kamilaki, the May Day wreath was made with a rod made of flexible, durable vine wood, or something else that was decorated with flowers and branches of fruit trees, such as the almond tree, which is the first to bud, then the fig tree, and then the rose. They also decorated it with wheat and barley ears, with onions and garlics for keeping away the evil eye. The use of greenery is not so much of flowers in order to transmit their fertility was the main feature of the May Day customs. In the rural areas, in fact, the weaving of wreaths was not considered necessary. It was enough to place over the front door of the house a bundle of green branches of olives, figs, orange, and other blossoming trees and flowers. It was also necessary for each other to have deterred, to do this to deter the evil spirits. And they would put on plants such as nettle, garlic, and other plants. According to the text by Professor of Classical Archaeology at the Aristotle University, Michael Tiberiu, the yeast branch or flower crown probably has its roots in antiquity. He says it's known that in ancient Greece such branches or wreaths were used very often. It's not exaggerated to say that they did not miss any important public, private, or religious events. In addition, it's noteworthy that an important celebration of a month of the ancient Targilion, which corresponds approximately to our May, included in its events the construction of branches similar to the May Day flower collection. The branch was not made with flowers, but with branches of fruit trees on which they hung onions and garlic, again to keep away the evil eye. Nowadays, we have established wreaths of flowers from the field or the gardens, which we place for a few days at the main entrance of the houses. And according to Michael Tiberius, it symbolizes the modern May Day wreath. The May Day wreath that we have today can hardly be detected anymore, since for most part, perhaps nothing more than a beautiful, fragrant flower arrangement, without referring to correlations according to which it gives to occupants of a home, such as health, good luck, peace, happiness, and euphoria. Certainly, its construction gives euphoria to young and old, who, escaping from the city, seek the joy of collecting the spring flowers in order to construct their wreaths. The flowers. The relationship of Greeks with flowers in ancient times, and this even currently, is clearly seen in mythology, which constantly refers to stories about almost all the flowers of Greece. The professor of ecosystems at the University of the Aegean, Nikos Margaris, refers to typical examples taken from Greek mythology. The flower iris took its name from the messenger of the gods, whose role was to accompany souls in places of eternal peace from the road of the rainbow that has its colors. Narcissus, son of the god Kiphisos, was a nymph of the forests. He was very beautiful, and while all the nymphs wanted him, he loved only himself. That's where we get the narcissistic, the legend of Narcissus. And that's where we have the term being very narcissistic means that you're so much in love with yourself that you can only believe that the world revolves around you. Anyway, he was looking at his reflection of his face at a spring in Helicon, and the gods decided to punish him for his arrogance, so he fell into the water and drowned. But one flower remained, the narcissus, with a golden crown, which today leans over the waters of the lakes and rivers. According to one of the many stories of mythology associated with the name Adonis, he, after the decision of Zeus, was obliged to live 2/3 of his time with Aphrodite on earth, and 1/3 with Persephone in the underworld. When the wild boar killed Adonis, Aphrodite shed as many tears as the drops of blood shed by Adonis's body. From every tear of Aphrodite sprouted a rose. The use of flowers has always been widespread in Greece and has always had an important place in the daily life of ancient Greeks, who had established the flower gardens as a celebration similar to today's Mayday, which they received in early spring in honor of Dionysius. But the Antichrist did the same in remembrance of Pluto's seizure of Persephone. Now, to this day, flowers are essential to our joys and sorrows and are associated with the most important and enjoyable moments of our lives. And this is on from a Cypriot newspaper, Simerini, and it's on Diadrastika, and I've translated this for you from a Greek article. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.